All right, everybody, welcome to the Groundsmen, where you find everything that has to do with school sports, school cricket, where the boys are playing, where they're looking to go, what games are happening over the weekend, the greatest roundups. This is where you can find them on the Groundsmen. I'm here today with my co-host T, who's always here with me. We're gonna round up all that has to do with school cricket, what's happening in the provinces. We follow specific schools. We're looking to catch up with the teams themselves, the players, the kids, the coaches. So we're gonna have a good time.
First episode.
Yeah. We're gonna have a good time, man. We're gonna have a good time.
Good to be here, man.
I think there's a lot in the game to discuss. We've had a few interviews with some of the coaches from St. John's. We got some Dale College coaches as well. We've had a good time with them. So I think there's quite a bit to cover, and I think there's a paradigm here that I think through our show we're going to be able to give guys an opportunity to understand and see what this beast that is school cricket looks like. What are you looking forward to?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to learning, man. I know the game from when I used to play, but I don't know what the landscape is. I don't know what these kids are doing. I don't know who's supposed to be at Coke Week. I know that there's always talks about the players that are supposed to make it to Coke Week and who didn't make it and who did make it. I'm keen to hear like what how do I put this? I'm keen for us to see how the season builds and who makes it to Coke Week, but more importantly, who are the best players in the country? Because that's really what that whole week is about, right? It's about seeing who are the best players in the country and who can we look at and go, okay, no, this kid in the next 2 years, this kid should be playing for SA. His record looks like this. So yeah, man, I'm keen. I'm keen to get back into it, see what's happening in the cricketing landscape.
I think it's there's actually quite a lot, man. There's so many sort of tournaments going around where a lot of these independent schools get to play. But they also sort of play in their own provincial leagues, which is interesting on its own. So I definitely look forward to that, and I think that speaks us sort of moves us into why we started the podcast, right? A lot of people are going to be watching this going, why do these guys start this podcast? Yes, there's school cricket, but what's the point? And if I can give sort of a short explanation around that is that I mean, we played cricket for many years back in school. There were a lot of guys who scored runs, man. We had the Andreas, Mark Behrens, we had Ortiz, left arm spin that was unbelievable, right? Got sort of left behind. And
They've
yes,
been playing essays by now, man. They've been
man,
playing essays.
man. Seriously, like that guy's probably the one player that I'm like, if Oti just stayed on it, man, he'd be probably one of the best spinners in the world right now. He had so much variation. But anyway, this is not about
Yep.
Oti.
Keep it pushing.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's really about some of those players that we saw that were fantastic, right? And unfortunately, we live
Mm.
in our own isolated provinces where we see great players. They never play really for schools that are known or get or are seen or prominent in the game, and don't always get picked. So what we decided to do was get this podcast together, and really just talk stats, right? Talk the stats for the players, bowlers, batsmen, what are we doing on game day, how the school cricketing programs are producing the players, are they producing the right players for us to win a World Cup eventually, for those players to play for the Proteas, what careers can these players have in the game outside of playing for a national team, although that is probably most players dreams. But just explore a lot about what the selection criteria looks like, do all the players, all the boys that are in the game get an equal opportunity to get into their provincial side, eventually get to Coke Week, eventually get picked for SA schools or Colts, and eventually sort of go up to play franchise and maybe national, right? So what we're trying to do here is have a conversation around the players' stats so that at the end of the year, come tournament time, we can all sit here as the general public who love the game, who love to watch it, and some love to still play it, is to say these are the top 10 run scorers in the country, right? These are the
Yep.
top 10 wicket takers in the country. These are the top wicket taking spinners in the country, top wicket taking seamers in the country. So what we're trying to do is let the conversation be quite straightforward around who's doing well and who isn't. And yeah, there are nuances around who the caliber of the teams that some of the players will play against. That's fine. But we have to start somewhere.
Hey man, everybody plays a Zim every now and then, but that still counts in the ICC rankings. Shout out to Zim.
Exactly, right? You still get top players with a top score of 182 against Zim
Yeah.
or Uganda
We
back
count
in the
that.
day.
We count that. We say, I know the guy scored an international 100.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
fair.
man.
That's fair, man.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what we're trying to do here. Along the way, we're trying to have a good time, laugh a little, really get into the nitty gritties of the game, some of the challenges that the players face, and yeah. So this show, essentially, we're gonna start with outlining who do we follow, because as you guys must understand, we have to start somewhere, right? There are tons of schools in this country, right? Like a lot of schools, and a lot of them play cricket at varying levels. So what we're trying to do here is that we've outlined around 20 schools. They are, according to sort of SA cricket SA cricket schools rankings, they're the top 20 schools in the country. So that's where we're going to start. Top 20 schools in the country. What we also do is that because they play other schools that are outside of the top 20, as those schools play against them, we'll also review them and have a look at them as well. So it doesn't mean that because we're looking at the top 20 schools, we're not looking at any other schools that are in the country. And mind you, we'll show you the list. There are some top schools outside of that top 20. So it's not like the guys that are getting left out can't play or the creating programs aren't great. It's just that we got to start somewhere, man. We can't have a 10-hour podcast. So we're going to start with the top 20 and we're going to start with the review of those schools, sort of have a slight look, give you guys an insight around what those schools offer, if there are any sort of national, provincial players those schools have produced, and we'll just go through that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, at the end of the day, there's only a finite amount of schools that we can actually cover in one session. So we're looking for the best, man. We want to talk about the best guys. We want to talk about the best performances. You're either part of the top 20 right now, or you're going to compete against them and you're going to bump them off the list. But, it has to start somewhere. And we want to see who are the best schools, who are the best players. And we ultimately want to see what the future of SA cricket has to hold.
Definitely. Definitely. So let's start at the top. And I know a lot of the old boys schools will have a lot to say about this, but the numbers are the numbers. These are the rankings.
Are we not gonna start with the number 20? Like
okay.
a hot kanda.
Do you want us to start with number 20? We can start with number 20 and work our way up.
Let's start with number 20. Let's find out, you gotta sit with us and find out who is the top player. You don't get to just come in and just find out who the top team is. Let's go through this thing. Let's go through number 20. Maybe we even talk about number 21 who just got bumped off the list. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, listen, we can. That's not a problem. We'll start at number 20. And I don't want to say sneaking in at number 20. Um, they earn their spot, you know. Um, and essentially we start off with Pretoria Boys High from Pretoria, Tshwane. Um,
Oh, that feels like a bit of a sneak.
yeah, that feels like a bit of a sneak, you know. Pretoria Boys High, I mean, they're okay, but I mean, listen, there are quite a few schools that are falling outside of this top 20 that I think would beg to differ if we said head to head. What are the scores looking like? So, but hey, listen, Rep
I
Pretoria.
think I think Boys High is like the who can I say? Boys High is like the Bangladesh of the league. Like you think you could beat them, but they always the guys that they'll ruin your World Cup campaign, they'll ruin your league run. They'll, they'll always manage to ruin your run as a team that's on its way.
Yeah.
That for me is who Boys High. I may be wrong. I may be wrong. I may get some clapback from some Boys High guys if I am wrong. Reach out to us. Let us know, man. Am I wrong? First of all, stats wise, has Boys High ever won their league? As
Yeah, I mean they play in the Pretoria League. Yes, they have. Okay, they have won the league. But I think more importantly, it's to rank them against some of the independent schools that I'm pretty sure a lot of Boys High guys see themselves competing against, the Rhonda Bosches of this world, the Afis of this world, Saint Stithians of this world, right? So if we look
yeah,
at the world, if we look at the sort of the SA schools rankings, they've been in the top 10, what? Let's say 3 times, right? They were eighth. They've
yeah,
been sixth. They've
top
been 10th.
10. Okay, okay, okay. I may have to take that back,
Yeah,
Boys
you
High. I
might
may
need
have
to
to take
swallow
that
those
back.
words. You might need to swallow those words because, I mean, numbers speak for themselves, right? They've been in the top 10 3 times. But again, I think with a bit of that Bangladeshi spice you were talking about, they've set at 38. They've set at 24th, at 51st. Um, yeah, and at 24th. So they've only
it
been, let's
sounds it sounds to me it sounds to me like Boys High has a bit of a consistency issue. I think that as an all boys school, they've got the luxury of having large crops of boys come in. And every now and again, they get a good crop of cricket players that they put together. But I'd like to speak to Boys High to find out what their actual cricket program looks like. Is this a fluke where one year they at the top, next year they're at the bottom, or is it a program that they're actually running that they work with? I'd love for Boys High to reach out to us. Let us know, man.
Yeah, listen, I'm interested in the same thing, right? We've got the director of cricket is Mr. D. Jefferson. So Mr. G. Jefferson, if you could reach out to us, we'd like to hear what your program looks like. Listen, we've spoken to St. John's. They're fantastic. They've run us through their program. We've spoken to Dale College. They've run us through their programs. We've got a couple other schools lined up as well. So if the director of cricket at Pretoria Boys High will reach out, we'd like to hear what your program sounds is designed to do. Otherwise, we'll just leave it at just inconsistency, man. Maybe you just don't always get the best crop of players. Who knows? We don't know because you haven't said
Yeah.
anything.
Look, from our point of view, I'm hearing the stats. I'm hearing where you guys have been in terms of the league and the log and all that stuff, in terms of rankings. And to me, it sounds as if they reliant on, hey, hopefully this year we got a good crop of players. But is there an actual program that guarantees a bit of consistency? Because I mean, we spoke to who was it? Coach Norris at
Yeah,
St. John's.
from St. John's. Yeah,
and he broke it down for us, let us know exactly how they how they groom their players. Like it's not just a sports thing. And it would be interesting to hear how public schools like Boys High, invest in terms of how do you actually focus on, and this isn't, criticizing Boys High at all on this. It would be interesting to hear from schools to say, how do you guys focus on the cricket players? Is it just a season where guys are playing cricket, the guys that are good play, the guys that are not, it is what it is, and then next season we move on to the next sport? Or is there a real program where guys can, and this goes out to more than just Boys High. I think this goes out to schools out there, the top schools that we're going to mention now. We want to hear from more of you guys to say, what's your program like? How's that looking?
Yeah.
I'm interested, man.
Yeah, I agree. And for kids and parents that are out there that are looking for good cricketing programs, right? This is a great opportunity for them to speak for themselves. Well, there's one thing they're not missing, and that's facilities. Okay, so these Oaks have 6 cricket pitches. They've got 9 artificial nets and 2 sets of turf practice nets. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so they're not struggling. You know what I mean? Like they're not trying to figure out how to resurface their artificial nets. They've got some turf nets probably for their senior guys. 9 artificial nets.
Have they produced any real players though? I mean, let's get down to the nitty gritties, right? Like, have they produced notable players? Is there a list, or is there just one guy that came out of there? I mean, I know Boys Eye has produced quite a few rugby players.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if they've produced any cricket players.
Listen, I've looked around, man, and I don't pick anything. There's nothing on their website. There's very little on what do you call it? What is it? Schools, South African schools. There's nothing there. So listen, if there are any Boys Eye boys, of guys who've played for the Proteas, or I mean for the Proteas we know. But even in franchises, right? If you've played it, if you've produced any first class guys, I know there are guys that do leave the country and go play somewhere else. I haven't found anything from Boys High. If they could let us know, that'll be great. It'll bolster the conversation to go a little bit their way. But as things stand, because these schools are proud of this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, if you go to a lot of you'll see with number 1, the school that's at number 1. I mean, they proudly talk about how many Proteas they've produced, how many sort of first class players they've produced, and that kind of thing. So I'm actually quite surprised for Boys High that they don't have anything like that on their website. Coming in at number 19, quietly coming in at number 19, Salborn College out in East London. And I can't say unexpected. I mean, Salborn's been fairly quiet, right? I mean, in the independent school space, yes, they're well known. I know they participate in tournaments and things like that. But a lot of these schools are, again, like their websites in terms of proclaiming what they've done and the players that they've produced tend to get a bit quiet. I mean, the school was founded in 1872, so it was a long time ago. I think they've
it's
built
old school.
Yeah, it's old school. Got some roots. They've only been in the top 10 3 times, so the same as Boys High. And they've sort of been outside of they've been in the top 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the top 20. And the rest of the time they were 38th and 24th and 24th and 51st. And so again,
is it a
I
big
think
school?
Yeah, it's a decent sized school. It's not like
Would
a.
you compare it to like a boys' high? Because it sounds like they're doing the same type of numbers. And are they an all boys school?
Yeah. So yeah, they are. So they gave us Mark Bouchy.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Ah, yes.
yes, yes.
Anyway, my bad. My bad. I'll take one from the cricket guys. Me.
Yeah, so they gave us
That's
Mark
not
Boucher, which is decent. They don't really have much. They don't really have much on their website. It's a decent school. They do well. To be in the top 20 is not a bad feat. It
yeah.
it would be great to hear a little bit more about them from them themselves. But as things stand right now, even with their cricketing program, it's the fluffy stuff. We look for team camaraderie. If the players
Yeah.
can follow along with our ethos and our creed and all of that. So it's more along that stuff, less hard facts, less hard numbers around what's going on. Then we move on to number 18. Welcome Paul Roos. I don't know if I should call him Paul Roos or Paul Roos. Alton Stellenbosch. Alton Stellenbosch. A dual medium school, founded in 1866. Produced around 16 players that played a Coke Week, so that's not too bad.
That's proper.
Yeah, that's not too
Where
bad.
they know
Yeah,
they
out in
play Western
Stellenbosch.
Province.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, out in province. So it's not too bad. They share
Provincial wise,
facilities.
those guys in Stellenbosch would fall under Western Province.
Yeah, I think they'd fall under province, not border. I think they'd be province.
Uh,
Yeah, I think they'd be province.
Correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, correct us
Hit
if
us
we're
up.
wrong. If we're wrong, let us know in the comments. And then so they also share facilities with Stellenbosch University. So I guess if you go there, they've got a nice relationship with Stellenbosch. I don't know if they get preferential treatments to get in there. But I would assume a lot of these Paul Roos kids are the ones that sort of move over to Stellenbosch and play for Stellenbosch University out there.
All right. I'll be looking
Hey,
up them. Keep an
yeah,
eye
yeah,
out.
yeah. Listen. Stellenbosch
Where
is
they ranked again? 17th. No, 18th.
18th.
And how often have they been up there in the rankings?
So they've been up there about 4 times. They've stayed sort of in the top 20. That's not too bad. And
Haven't broken top 10.
I think they did. I just don't have the stats here. Just give me a second, because they actually don't have a bad record. I think what threw them out of the top 10 is that they had a bad year once upon a time. um, they had a bad year, and yeah, it sort of kicked them out of that top that top 20 rankings, and that's what sort of threw them out to 18th. But I'll tell you now, because there's actually, give me a second, it's here as soon as this thing can load. But so they're a dual medium school, which is cool. I think they're not too long ago they sort of converted to that.
Yeah.
Still quite Afrikaans, so they play cricket hard, which is always
Yeah.
lekker.
Hey man, those Afrikaans boys play.
No, they're not to be
Those
messed around
Afrikaans,
with.
those boys can play. I'll give them full credit. Listen, we from the northwest. You're gonna play. You're gonna know how to play with some Buddhas. But
Yeah,
those boys can play. I'll give them credit. They play
yeah.
hard, man.
Nah, those boys can play. So they've been in the top 10 twice, which is dicey, but
Yeah.
they've then been in the top 20 3 times, right? So it's a bit of a mixed bag again, coming in at 18 with Paul Roos. Gymnasium.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out on Paul Russ. See how they're doing in our league table.
We'll keep an eye on them and see what they do, man. And then coming in at 17, back in Pretoria, shout out Pretoria, Tshwane, we got Waterkloof High School.
Oh,
We all know
boys,
Waterkloof High
boys,
School.
I'm gonna like that.
No, they're not. They're not.
Boys, I'm gonna like that at all.
I think there's another surprise in the table that boys are also not gonna like, but we'll talk about that. There's a massive rivalry there.
Okay,
that
I guess we already know who's on the back foot in that rivalry.
Waterkloof.
Anyway,
Let's not take the shine away from Waterkloof in Tshwane.
yeah.
Waterkloof isn't too bad, eh? They're consistently in the top 20, which I think that's what's earned them their 17th spot. All right. So they've been 17th twice, they've been 11th, they've been 4th, they've been 16th, they've been 11th again. So they've consistently, I mean, and just to inform everybody, this is the timeline between 2012 and 2020, right? That's the timeline we're looking at here. And they've had a few bad runs where they were 38th, 34th, and 34th, which is what threw them out further down the ladder in this top 20.
So they've never actually broken the top 10 now.
They've been fourth. They've been fourth 1 year. For 1 year, they were fourth, which it seems like
They've
that
been
a great year.
What year was that?
That was, I think, 2015.
Oh, Waterkloof was killing that year.
Yeah. They were hurting guys. They were hurting guys. And listen, they've been they put up about 14 teams every year in the league, eh? So they've got plenty of kids that play the game in the school, right? So to put up 14 teams in the league is decent.
That's proper though, because Waterkloof it's a mixed school.
Yeah,
Boys and girls.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
For them to be pushing out that time, that's proper though. That's proper. But they've always been known in the cricketing world though. You know Waterkloof is gonna be in the fire. At Gunnermoor tournament, it's Waterkloof and whoever else.
Yeah. And
I've got my own personal scars. Anyway, maybe not bring that into the conversation. But yeah, you see Waterkloof.
Listen, they won that Gunnermoor tournament series since 2014, by the way. So they've been racking that tournament up, like you say.
Wait, what do you mean? They've stayed they stay undefeated.
Yeah.
So they've been winning it. So they are the kings in Pretoria.
Yeah, no, they pretty much own the joint. You know? I mean, if the other guys who would like to disprove us, we'd welcome the commentary. But at this point in time, it just looks like Waterkloof owns Pretoria. And everybody else who's there is shining their shoes. I'm just putting it out.
Wow. Wow. There's some guys who are not going to enjoy that comment at all.
It is what it is, dude. I mean, they've produced players. They produced Rulo van der Merwe, Haris Viljoen, Janeman Malan, and Pieter Malat. So it's not like, they're not producing any players. And these are guys that have gone to sort of the very top of South African cricket.
Hey, look, they got the stats to prove it. They got the numbers to back it up, and they got the W's, man. Who are we to say they're not the champs? I mean, if you're in Pretoria, if you're a school in Pretoria, if you play in Pretoria, let's see it. Let's see what you have. Because at the moment, right now on the Groundsmen, we are dubbing Waterkloof as the kings of Pretoria because they have been dominating the schools league since 2014. They've been winning the Gun and Moore tournament. Have they lost since 2014, the actual tournament?
Well, their site says they've won it since 2014. So, if anybody can disprove that, we'd like to have that conversation. But as things stand, I haven't been to another school in Pretoria or another school around the country that makes that claim. So that says a lot, right? The under 15A team has won the Gun and Moore since 2014. It is
Just
what
the
it is.
under 15 team.
Yeah, that's under 15 side.
First team. I feel like you threw me. I feel like you just took me down a whole rabbit hole, only to find out that their first team may not be as good as we think it is.
Listen, their first team's not that bad, eh? They won the National Franchise T20 Championships in 2020, right? So, it's a T20 tournament, fair enough. Sort of firecracker cricket, which is fine. But they still won it, and they were playing against some of the top teams in the country. So their first team is not too bad either.
Okay. No,
All right.
I'd still say, do we know who's been winning the Gadamore tournament at first team level?
We can find that out for sure. I mean, that's not
because I think that's a key distinction. I think that the under 15s are basically somebody at the under 15 level at Waterkloof knows what they're doing because they're not dealing with the same players every year. Somebody there knows how to win championships. And I don't understand how that guy isn't the first team coach. I don't even know how the structures work. I'm not hating on the first team coach. I don't know who the Waterkloof first team coach is. All I know is that from what I've heard statistically, the under 15 coach has not lost a championship since 2014. That guy knows how to win championships. That guy should be the head coach or at least working with the head coach.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the politics there. I don't know what's happening. We'd love to chat to Waterkloof. Again, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Waterkloof. I just want to put that out there. I'm a fan of the under 15 coach. Dude, if you're winning, like, you know how hard it is to win a championship, dude? At any level. At any level to win a championship where you're level with everybody else. And not even that, dude. For me, I'm a fan because he's doing it with a far less group of talent than most of these other schools. I'm not going to mention any names, but there are all boys schools that have a far bigger talent pool. And this guy is doing it with more than half. Or no, less than half. Yes, he's doing it with less than half of what all the old boys schools are doing. And he has not lost a championship since 2014. Come on. Give the man his respect. Give the man his respect.
Yeah.
He's a championship coach. Championship level coach.
Shout out to
I hope he's the under 15 coach for the Gauteng squad or the northern side. Well, where are they? Yeah, they're in Pretoria, northern side.
Yeah, the Northerns.
If that guy's not the under 15 coach for northern side, then you guys aren't trying to win the PG Bison tournament.
Yeah.
Is it still PG Bison? Still sponsored by PG Bison? You know, man.
Oh, it's been a while, eh? It just shows how old he
If it's not sponsored by PG Bison, then we've given away the years of water.
Now everybody knows how old we were when we last really played the game like that, you know? Well, we can find that out. I'll bring it back to the Gun and Moore series. And and see what they've done. Coming in at number 16, all the way
Mm-hmm.
from East London, quietly from East London, Hudson Park. Hudson Park.
What is with What's going on in East London?
I don't know what's going on in East London, bro. But listen, I've played with a few guys from East London, right?
Yeah.
And we may not know it, but there is some serious firepower out in East London. Like some serious firepower out in East London. Um, the players that come down there generally play some aggressive cricket. Because
Yeah.
it gets so windy out there, hitting the ball for six gets a bit gets a bit difficult. So they get up to the high foul chair, and they can't believe how easy it is to just hit balls over the boundary because they're used to muscling everything over. So
That's
listen,
tough
there's
down
there's
there.
some serious firepower out there.
Yeah, man. I mean, they've got East London's now got two guys in the top 20 schools in the country. And
That's
we're
right.
just at number 16 already.
That's right.
Okay. East
That's right.
London's on the map. East London is on the map. We will be looking at East London. I'm pretty sure they're not the only ones. I mean, if there's two, then iron sharpens iron. So there must be other guys out there that may not necessarily be in the top 20 this year, but
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting league. I think that East London league is fire.
I think so too. Often we focus on Joburg and the Western Cape, but I think the East London League is proper. It's proper when you see some of the
Yep.
schools coming out of there in the top 20, mind you, in the top
Yeah.
20. Funny enough, though, again, some of these schools are so disappointing, man. They don't have a lot on their website around their cricket and their achievements. And when I go to SA Cricket, there's also not much coming out around Hudson Park. So I think they generally have a good cricketing program for their squads. But
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how good they are in producing individual talents, right? And
Yeah.
individual players. So I think as a team, and again, cricket is an individual team sport, right? It's team sport. But
Yeah.
what I think they might be doing out there is that um, they might have the ability to produce good groups of guys who play well together, rather
Yeah.
than sort of standout individuals who do their own thing. Um, so yeah, we got Mr. Foster out there, the headmaster, who seems to have done a good job with the school. It'll be
Definitely.
interesting to hear from them again, what it is they've got going out there, because there's not really much they have on their website around their sports and their achievements.
Love to hear from you guys, man. You guys are doing some great stuff in East London. Let's hear from the schools. Let's hear from the coaches. Let's hear what you guys have to say about your program. It's clearly working. I think a lot of
Definitely.
parents as well might be interested in that cricketing program that are based out in East London. To know that there's actually good cricketing schools down in East London. You don't always have to send your child down to a boarding school if you're living down in an area. These are the schools that we're going to mention in this top 20 now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's a co-ed school, right? So again, not all the best sort of schools for your boy to play cricket in are all boys schools, which is
Yeah.
an important thing to mention because that's generally the perception going
Mm.
around. Moving on to number 15, we're back in the Western Cape in Paul with Paul Gymnasium. We've got Paul
Khamis.
Gymnasium.
Oh, Khamis. About time. It's about time. About
you knew
time.
you knew they were
This is the
coming,
first
right?
Khamis. This is the first Khamis. No, there's
There's a
first
Khamis
Khamis
in.
that's on there. Um, you mentioned the guys down in Stellies.
Yes, there's a
Fort
Khamis in
Worth.
Stellies. There's a Khamis here in Paul, and there's another Khamis in, I think it's Potch. Is it Potch or Clarksdorp? There's a
Yeah, no, there's one in Podge.
there's a Khamiz in Potch as well. So
Yeah.
and they were decent too, eh? They weren't too bad.
Oh no, Khamiz and Podge can play. I think they've won the league a couple of times, the Northwest League.
Hmm.
We played them in the finals. That's who we caned in the finals back in that day. Anyway,
The-
let's keep it flying. I
those
don't
that know
I don't want to
know.
traumatize. I don't want to traumatize anyone from Khamiz.
Okay,
Unless I not mention any names. Anyway, this is beef. Beef is coming out. Beef is coming out. Anybody
it's
from
gonna be a
what
war.
season was it? The '08. I think it was '08 guys. Old college alumni. I think Khamiz will remember these hats quite well. Anyway, I'm getting distracted, but keep pushing.
All right. Okay, coming back to it. They're not doing too bad. They've got 12 cricket teams. They've got five under
Yeah.
19, sort of under 19 and 18 slash teams. They've got 3 under 15s and 4 under 14 teams. So 12 teams out there, that's not too bad. In terms of facilities, they're not struggling. They're not struggling. They've got 3 cricket fields, 2
Yeah.
turf nets, and 7 cement nets. So any school that can afford a turf net is not struggling.
Yeah, no, they're good to go. They're good to go. But then again, man, it's I give props to guys like that because it's you know they earn that stuff. You're a top 20 school. You're not a big school like that. Like, sorry guys, I'm just fixing up my mic here real quick. Um, you're a top 20 school. You don't really know, or you don't really have the firepower in the beginning, but you keep pushing, you keep pushing, you keep pushing, and now you're a standard in the top 20 across the country. I think that's something to tip your hat off to guys like those.
Yeah, definitely, man. They've got John Loxton out there who's the cricket organizer, who seems to sort of marshal the program, which is great. They've also they've come 10th twice, 8th once. So in the top 10, they've been there 3 times. And they had a few tough runs. They were 42nd one year, they were 36th, 31st, and 37th the other year. So I think, and people sort of might want to come after us for this. This is not the top 10 for 2020 or 2021, although it's not done, right? This is the top 10
Yeah.
between 2012 and 2020, right? So bear in mind, so they use sort of the averages throughout that period to come out with a single average, and then depending on whoever's got the lowest average is the one that sort of sits at the top. Because obviously
Yeah.
if you came like 50th and 40th and whatever, that drops your average down. So that's that. So they're not too bad. Paul Gymnasium, Khamis. They're not too bad. They're not too bad. They're doing well out there. That's Khamis at number 15. Okay. Cool. Now we've got Maritzburg College, all the way from Peter Maritzburg, and I'm sure you're aware of it. I think we all sort of know about Maritzburg College. Haven't done too badly. They were 5th in the top 20. They've been there about 4 times. And sort of they were 5th. They've been 12th, 13th, and 15th in those years respectively. So I mean, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. They say they've been playing cricket for 150 years. So
And that is pretty bad.
yeah.
I'm playing Marisburg, but they do pretty well. They do pretty well. They've actually got a pretty good cricketing reputation.
Yeah, they do. They do. They've been
when
out here
you're
for a
playing
while.
Marisburg, you gotta step up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You got to step up your game. You got Director of Cricket out there, Mr. Carl Nipper. It would be great to find out from them what else they've got going, what they've got going for the kids this coming cricketing season. because I know most of the guys are going to play starting sort of now in September through to sort of mid March, April. So
Yeah.
they've got a lekker long season coming up with a break in December. So it'll be good to hear from Mr. Nipper what's going on out there with Maritzburg College. But they haven't done too bad. Some provincial and international representatives and some players out there. But again, I can't really find many post sort of 92 when we were sort of allowed back into international cricket. So when I did my research, I wasn't really looking at anything sort of pre 92, 94.
Yeah.
Because pardon me, but that's that was like you just playing by yourself. You don't really know how good you are.
Yeah. No,
So
it's not a playing field yet.
yeah,
So
no, it's not even a conversation. So post 92, I haven't seen anybody notable. I'm pretty sure they've had a few guys sort of repped at their schools and in sort of their provincial spaces, but nothing else from there. Cool. That is number 14, Maritzburg College. And then coming in at number 13, we're back in Gauteng, but this time we're just crossing over Midrand and going through to Joburg. We've got St. John's College. St. John's
oh,
College. And now
but
listen, St. John's is nothing to be played with, man. They love their cricket. They enjoy their cricket, and you see that on their school website by sort of the flexing they do. They do quite a bit of flexing on their website, so that if you're thinking about setting up a warm up game or thinking about bringing your kid there, you must be sure that you got some proper pedigree out there. So just to give you some insights, they've produced players like John Symes. I don't know if you remember John Symes, man. He used to actually be out in played for the Lions, and also did a bit of played a little bit in Scotland as well.
you play in the Old Transvaal.
Yeah, back then as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they've also produced Ompile Ramela. Ramela,
Okay.
Donovan Conway, guy who he played for New Zealand recently. He was in like all the papers.
Is he from
Yeah,
what's the
St.
name?
John's, right?
St. John's.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, St. John's, we see you.
Yeah. And listen, they're not messing around. So they've produced some decent players along the years. Established in 1898 as a choir school for St. Mary's. So I think they've done a decent job to sort of carve their own legacy and their own their own pathway from
No,
being a choir
you're
school for
your
St.
own
Mary's.
man now, St. John. You're your own man.
You're your own man now. You're not holding St. Mary's purse. Well done to St. John's. Fantastic school, fantastic program. Listen, I spoke to a few coaches from there, and it's really an all-rounded approach from those guys. They've got
Yeah.
a proper catch. By the way, catch some of those interviews on our YouTube channel, the Groundsmen. We got full interviews with those coaches from under 13 all the way to the first team. They're doing a great job. They got a great cricketing program, and I can see why they're producing such great players.
When's that first one dropping? I think we're gonna drop it on Friday. Coach Norris.
Yeah. We got Coach Norris on Friday. That should be a good one. That was a really nice one because he's the first team coach. So
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah, that's gonna be really good. They also play regular fixtures against Cares, JP, Pretoria Boys, Parktown Boys, St. David's, St. Stithians, and Uffie. So they obviously and stuff like this is cool, right? Because they're not afraid of guys that are quote unquote in their own weight class. They're not afraid to play guys that and schools that are essentially pound for pound on the same level. So
I mean, they're
they give
playing
boys
basically the top
exposure.
20 school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
proper.
they do a good job out there. They also sort of they've got annual fixtures with Grey College, St Andrews, and they also participate in the Cape Schools Cricket Week, which is a big one out in the Cape. Oh yeah, by the
Yeah.
way, they're also not struggling. They've got 5 cricket grounds and an indoor cricket center. So if you got these kind of resources, it makes sense that they're producing the kind of players they are, and they're playing against the schools they're playing against. And they
Yeah.
also do what's also lacquer that I found out is that they also give out scholarships, which is great. So talents that are out there have the opportunity to get a scholarship to come to the school and have access to the facilities and the great coaches that are out there. So it's not just about who can afford to go there, but if you're talented, you get scouted. Hey, let us know. Send us some tape. We in touch with the coaches out there. I'm pretty sure they're always open to see some good talent.
Yeah, man. Let's get some young talent out there, man. You know, there's a lot of guys that can't play, they just don't have that opportunity, and they don't even have the resource to know that a St. John's does this because they don't have that line of information. So yeah, you're trying to get to guys like those, let us know, send us your tapes, let us know what you can do, send us your stats. And yeah, it's what the groundsmen do. You know, everybody knows what groundsmen do. The groundsman is the guy that's gonna look out for you. You know, when something's going on, you left your kit bag at the ground. The groundsmen are the guys that look out for you, man.
Yeah,
That's all. That's really what all this is about. It's about looking out for the young guys coming up. The way we would have liked to have had guys look out for us.
absolutely, absolutely, man. Um, and yeah, so that's St. John's. Great job. They've been in the top 20 more often than not. So they were ninth, they've been fifth, they've been seventh, they've been 20th, they've been 17th. So they've been in the top 20 more often than not from 2012 to 2020. They had one bad year, which they were 36th. No, they had two, 36 and 34th. But more often than not, they're sitting in that top 10 slot, which is great.
That's power.
Yeah, that's
Nah,
power.
those guys are doing something right, man. Doing something
Absolutely.
right. Go watch their interviews. They're doing something right.
Absolutely, man. Moving the the 12th position, we've got Sax out in Cape Town, South African College School. So they're out here. They're number 12. They're sort of well known in that Cape space, down the Garden route. With they also go to sort of most of the cricket tournaments with the independent schools. They're a semi-private school, English medium. They have a primary and a high school. So they don't really have
They
much on the
dominate.
cricket. Come again?
What do you mean? They call the South African cricket school. What do you mean they don't have much on their cricket?
I was as disappointed as you, mate. Like when I searched their website, um, and I mean, I'll show you. Let me see if I can show you here because I was as disappointed as you. Um,
I don't know. Can you call yourself that? Is there no proprietary? Can you call yourself the SA Cricket School and get away with that, and not even like emphasize cricket?
no, sorry, not South African Cricket School, South African College School, South African
Uh,
College School. South African
uh, this whole run, I just went on a whole run. Nobody's gonna quite understand what I was talking about because I'm just like, what is this guy talking? South African cricket school.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, yeah. It was a bit
All right, South
disappointing.
African college school.
Yeah,
All right,
South African
then no,
college
then it
high
makes
school.
sense why they don't have. I mean, the South African college school. So I'm impressed they
Yeah,
at 12. If I'm being honest, at this point, I'm just impressed they ranked 12.
they've done well for themselves. They've done well for
I
themselves.
went from criticizing them for not being in the top 10 because if you're going to be South African cricket school, then you better be in the top 10 cricket schools.
Fair
But
enough.
if they are South African college school, then I am very, very impressed at the fact that they are the number 12 ranked school in the country. Big ups to them, man.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
No, big ups
impressive.
to them. Big ups to them. They're out in Cape Town. I'm pretty sure they got a rep out there, right? Um, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they've got
Are
sort
they
of their
scout?
own rep. Come again?
Are they scouting players? Because you know how these guys are.
Yeah, they scout, man. They scout. They scout. They've got scholarships available and all that kind of thing. So they definitely go out there looking for top talent. So I mean, to be in the top 20, you have
Yeah.
to you have to be out here. You have to be out here. So it will actually be great to hear from sort of the directors of cricket and sports, and let us know what their program looks like, what it is they're doing. Because in all honesty, there's not much around sort of the and I'll be honest, right? Over the last 10 years, I haven't necessarily, because you know when SA schools list comes out, they usually have the high school next to it. Um,
Yeah.
maybe like pre 2010, I there were a few kids that were like from Sax. Um, but post that, I haven't really seen much. So sort of for the last 10 years, I haven't really seen much. Listen, if we're wrong, let us know. Put something in the comments. Give us a link to some info around sex. We'd really like to get into that and dive deeper into that. But outside of that, there's not
Yeah.
really much.
All right. Let's keep it moving.
Let's keep it moving. Then we're out in Grahamstown in the Eastern Cape. In the Eastern Cape, my man, we got St. Andrew's College out there. St. Andrew's College, founded in 1855. Again, old school, got some roots.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they also haven't done too bad. Again, they're not struggling. They've got 6 cricket fields. They've got 13 all-weather cricket nets, which is probably cement nets, um,
Yeah.
and 10 turf cricket nets. Right, 10.
Huh?
Yeah, you heard me. You heard me. Boys High with 2. St. Andrews is 10.
I just want to make it clear, boys, that was not me. I left you guys alone back at number 20. This guy just dragged you guys all the way from number 20 just to throw some shots and then slingshot you back to number 20.
I'm just saying. I'm
Anyway,
just saying.
we
Um,
love boys, man. All
yeah,
love.
much
All
love
love.
to Boys High. Much love to Boys High out in Pretoria. So listen, the guys have done well. St. Andrews, we're gonna be following you. We're gonna be watching you out at number 11. They've been in the top 10 twice at number 8 and number 6. They've never been first. No, they've been in the top 10 3 times. So they've been 7th, they've been 8th, they've been 6th, never first. So yeah, 10 turf nets. I think 10 turf nets require at least a top 3 finish.
I feel like if I'm paying that much as a school to maintain grounds, I want championships. Have they won any championship?
I'm pretty sure they won something, but there's nothing on their website, man. Like I said, schools sometimes are disappointing. Um, I mean,
Is
you'll
it?
see as we get into the top 10, right? As we get into the top 10, the information changes.
Yeah,
Um, and you can see that these schools are really about their cricket, right? So you
yeah,
might find, listen, the fact that they're 11th means they've got something going, right? Which means it means
yeah,
that they've got a funnel of good cricket players, which is great. Fair enough, fair to
yeah,
them, right? But I think the fact that they don't list sort of some of their achievements on their website. Either I don't know if maybe they haven't come first or won a tournament somewhere along the line because we got some gorillas out there
yeah,
that are dominating everybody. But also it also has to do cricket. Cricket has a lot to do with facilities as well, right? So it might just be a function of you've got enough sponsors, you've got decent coaches because you can afford them, and then you've got the facilities to attract decent players. So overall, if you're not in the top 20 with the kind of resources that they have, it becomes a bit of an issue for the donors and for the sponsors. So I don't doubt that they've probably got decent coaches. I don't doubt that they probably have a nice sort of filter for talented kids and they give some scholarships. But it is a bit disappointing that they don't have more information around tournaments they've won, things that they've done, and that kind of thing, just to give parents that are looking for good cricketing programs an opportunity to scout them and have a look.
yeah. I mean, I expected more from St. Andrews. I mean, we had our I think it was under 17. Yeah, under 17 tournament back in I don't know, I can't remember. 06, 05. Oh, good God. But it was back then, somewhere
Long
along
time
under
ago,
17.
long time ago, long
It just dawned on me that anything where you say oh something, that's more than 10 years ago. It just dawned. Whenever you say
tickets,
oh
man.
02, 05, 08, that's more than 10 years ago. But it just dawned on me. But yeah, man, they hosted the under 17 tournament. I remember we stayed at St. Andrews. So for a school like that, man, to not even have their accolades up or to not lead with their cricketing accolades, I want to hear from the coaches, man. I want to hear, is it just an oversight? Maybe because no one's doing this. So, fair play to a lot of schools outside of, I guess, speaking to parents. There's no real need to put out stats like that because there's no place where people are actually appreciating and looking at those stats and talking about their games and stuff like that. So now that the groundsmen are here, I think schools need to step their game up.
I think so. I
All
think
I'm
so.
saying.
Because there are some schools that have stepped up their game, man, and you'll see as we move into that top 10 what I'm talking about. So, yeah, so we're in Grahamstown with St. Andrews. Shout out to St. Andrews. We're going to be watching you. We're going to be watching your games, your first team playing. Um, yeah, and yeah, we'll be talking about them. Um, moving over into the top 10, ladies and gentlemen, moving into the top 10 we talk
Me,
about
me, me,
saying,
me.
do you have a horn? I don't know if you have a horn, mate. Do you have a
Nah,
horn?
leave the horns. Don't be that guy. Don't be
Ah,
that guy.
I have to get a horn. No. Listen, I'm gonna get a horn. I'm
We'll
gonna find a
we'll
horn.
work on it. We'll work
Yeah.
on. I just don't want us to be the guys pressing buttons. Don't. Let's figure out the buttons off it. Because I know we've got sports guys here, man. Sports guys are gonna rip us apart. Don't be those guys.
Ah, fine. Let us know if we should have some horns. You know what? Let the people decide. If we should have horns, I would like horns. T doesn't want horns, but it's fine. If
I
you
think
guys want
sound
us to have
effects.
horns, we're gonna get some sound effects.
Okay, okay. Let's find out what the people have to say. Personally, I'm not a sound effects guy. I'm not that guy. I just think that It's just a whole bunch of, next we're gonna have the clapping, and then we're gonna have. I mean, what are we doing anyway? maybe I'm just a cynic, right? Maybe I'm just a Debbie Downer of the group, right? I may just be that guy, but
Yeah, you're
I'm
not
not
fun, man.
into the fancy. It's the same with batting, man. Get over all this fancy stuff, the scoops, and let's just play straight. You know, it's cow corner. I'm old school. We going cow corner. We're going straight over the bowler. None of this Dilshan scoop, and I'm a cynic. You're gonna go out, play like that. Just play straight. Watch the ball. I'm that guy. Don't if you go and you come back and it's you've for me, anything that wasn't a conventional shot, you chucked it. You took the gamble. If you played it well and it came off, shot it. But if you play that shot and it doesn't go right, don't come to me. You better go off on the other side of the field, bud, and just take a lap while you at it, because you chucked it. Could have played straight as a cover drive. You didn't have to do all that other stuff. Anyway, I'm a
The game's
I
moving
like
on,
that
mate.
stuff.
The game's moving on. There's
Man.
there's money in this thing now, man. Proper money in this
But
T20 game.
back in the day, my Schlesinger didn't do that stuff. It played straight. It had one. It had about this much meat. Back in the day when the bat had a middle.
Yeah.
Not this new stuff where you can play with the side of the bat and still hit sixes. Back in the day where all you had was a middle. A middle. Anything south, anything north of that middle, bud, that's out. That's out. That bat's not doing anything. Unless you're hitting it in the middle. You're either going to get caught, it's not going to make it, you're not going to clear distance. That was just, I'm old school, but so for me, play straight. Play straight.
All right, moving on
Anyway,
from that. We're moving into the top 10 now with St. Andrew's School in Bloemfontein. Shout out to Bloemfontein. Got some proper schools out there. Not too bad, man. Not too bad. They've been 3rd, 11th, 12th, 8th, and 18th. They've had 2 bad years where they were 36th and 33rd, and 22nd. Outside of that, from 2012 to 2020, they've only been out of the top 23 times. And that is fantastic. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Okay. And
St. Andrews.
Yeah, shout out to St. Andrew's School, not college.
Okay, so St. Andrew's College is 11th and St. Andrew's Schools is 10th.
Yeah. St. Andrew's College in Grahamstown and St. Andrew's School in Bloemfontein.
I think we should have a battle of the St. Andrews.
I think there's an opportunity.
I think we need to see who's the better St. Andrew's School.
You know what we'll do actually? What we'll do is that we'll just go find old stats, right, where they've played against each other, because most of them find each other at these independent school tournaments. And then we'll look at the head-to-heads there, and come out with which is the best St. Andrew's School. And I mean, at 10 and 11, there's not much between them. But I'm pretty sure.
I think they should play. I think they should bang, bro. Let them bang, bro. Let them bang, bro. Let's see what's going on. Let's say there can only be one St. Andrews. I feel like they can only be the other one. We're either gonna call you like they gotta play against each other, and then the winner is St. Andrews.
Yeah.
And then the other one is either college or school. You lose your person.
We'll just call you school, or we'll call you college.
School. Or we'll call you formerly known as St. Andrews.
I think so. I actually think so. There can only be one St. Andrews. Okay, so you guys are confusing us. Because when I actually looked at this, I was like,
Yes.
St. Andrews School, St. Andrews College. I know St. Andrews College. I didn't know St. Andrews School. I won't lie about that, right?
Do they know each other? Do they?
No, they, yeah, no, they.
Or are they living? Like it's like you and I both know a Timothy, but Timmy and Timmy don't know each other. But now they're in the same room, and one of those names needs to change now, right? No one's ever had to speak about them in this context. Now that we are, I feel like we've uncovered an issue. Is that St. Andrews needs to sort themselves as a brand. I don't think it's good for the brand St. Andrews to be split like this. One needs to go, one needs to be the school formerly known as St. Andrews, and then one needs to be St. Andrews as we know it.
Yeah, because I mean, if one slips down the ladder, right, and sort of falls out of the top 40, there's gonna be a lot of trash talking, and you don't want your St. Andrews to be to be mistaken for the one that's fallen down the ladder. I mean, it's fine now that one is 10th and the other one's 11th, but as soon as one of them falls through the floor, it's gonna be a bit of an issue for the other. So hey, St. Andrews, let's get you guys together. Let's see. But we'll do that. I'll go find the head to heads, and see who's come out on top.
Yeah, I think St. Andrews is for they are the City and United of our league. We keep now having to say we have to call them by their full name now because we have to differentiate. So you can't just say Manchester played this weekend. Now you have to say Manchester United, Manchester City, St. Andrews School, St. Andrews College. Come on, Chiefs. Come on, guys. Get a nickname. Give us your
Listen,
nicknames.
and if there is a nickname, let us know, please, 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 please. We might just confuse them as they go. Listen, these guys aren't struggling. They've got an indoor center at the school.
Yeah.
And they've
Okay,
also got
okay.
a
This is a
high-performance.
comparison, right? Based on facilities. Now let's see which St. Andrews, based on paper, right? If
Yeah.
I was a cricketer, you told me the facilities, and I asked you about the facilities, which St. Andrews is cooking?
Well, listen, this St. Andrews, the St. Andrews School has the indoor. St. Andrews College doesn't, right? But the St. Andrews College has 6 cricket fields, 13 cement nets, and 10 turf nets. I feel like that 10 turf nets is a thing, okay? Because we know how expensive it is to maintain a turf net. Okay? I mean, Boys High only has 2. So we need to
Yo,
we need
you need to back off. I went from being a boys' eye critic to being a boys' eye defender. You need to back off boys' eye, man. They've taken enough heat today already. Boys' High is 2. And we failed to mention the Boys' High is a public school, ladies and gentlemen. Boys' High does very well for a public school.
Oh, is there an asterisk on there now? Now we have to add an asterisk. But when we talk,
No, we just need to I'm just saying that this is like we need to understand the journey to understand to appreciate the achievement that much more. That guys like Boys High, they come from what do we call it? They come
modest
from
backgrounds.
exactly. They come from modest backgrounds, and I think that we should be fair to Boys High guys. I mean, we're not private school guys, and that's why we like guys like Boys High, man.
Yeah.
Boys High guys are, Boys High is the school that represents what a public school can do, right? So
Yeah.
for all the other guys that are in public schools, you look at a school like Boys High and you go, you know what, man? I don't need to go to a private school in order to be a good sportsman. That there are places outside of that. I mean, is it a bit more expensive than the average public school? Sure. but you know what you're paying for. But I think it's just that every how do you put it, man? You need the people's team, and I think that's what Boys High are. They're the people's team. Anyone that went to a public school can rally behind Boys High because you know what? They compete with those guys, but we all know they still one of us.
Yeah,
We know that.
yeah,
We know that because we know every public school, every guy that goes to a public school, they probably have a buddy that goes to Boys High.
yeah,
That's I think what connects us all with Boys High. Is that we all have a mate that goes to Boys High that left a small town, or you know. So, and I think that's really what. How did we even get to talking about Boys High? Anyway, this is me defending you guys. Right? I know, I threw heat out at front, but this is me just defending you guys. We like Boys High. I think we're gonna adopt Boys High. We might. We might. We
yeah.
might. We
Listen,
need
let's
to
put
engage
that on the
them.
back
We need to
burner.
put
We'll
them.
we'll look at Boys High as we go.
They're the 20th guys. They're the 20th guys hanging in there. People's team at number 20. People's team.
Goodness. All right. Moving on to number 9, and I'm pretty sure you're well aware of this school, Weinberg Boys. Weinberg
Oh,
Boys. Um,
terrorists come out of Weinberg.
terrorists.
Terrorists.
If you speak
Some of the
Kokwi,
biggest terrorist fast bowlers come out of. I don't know where Weinberg. I think Weinberg is churning out like a colored fast bowler factory. We all know what I'm talking about. We all know him, and much respect to those guys.
yeah,
Goodness. Everybody knows that tournament. At every tournament, there's always at least one boy from Weinberg that's quick,
yeah,
quick,
yeah,
quick, quick,
yeah,
quick, quick,
yeah,
quick, quick,
yeah.
quick.
Proper gas, but
Like
proper
ridiculously
gas.
quick. No one ever knows what happens to those guys after tournament or before tournament. It's like they were made for tournament.
Yeah,
Out of nowhere, they pop up and they're quick, 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 quick. But then after that, that's really what the groundsmen are here to find out. What happens to those guys? What
yeah,
happens to all those terrorists that get picked for tournaments and they go out there and they terrorize everybody?
yeah,
We know those boys. They go out there and they tear it up. And then they've always got a short batsman.
yeah, yeah.
You
A
know,
short
for
batsman
every
who always seems to have
oof,
time. Always seems to have
oof,
time.
he'll enjoy you all day. All day. He'll enjoy it. Like he's not even here to bet. He's just here to enjoy you. When you
Yeah.
can see that this guy's this guy's having a good time. You're out here burning in the sun. You're out here dying. And you can see that this guy's not going out anytime soon. When we happy to give you one,
Yeah,
or we just give him one, get him off strike. Let's
yeah,
focus on the guy on the other end because this
yeah,
guy's not going out anytime soon. That's what those boys are like.
yeah. Fantastic cricketers, man. I think Weinberg boys have a formula out there that is really producing guys that are difficult to get your head around. You know what I mean? Like it's difficult, and you can see they've produced guys like Cullis, who's come out of there. England captain Alan Lamb has come out of Weinberg boys. But like you say, I would have actually expected a lot more national players coming out of Weinberg boys.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, something happens to them after school. I don't know if the program is so good that they leave and then they don't know what to do with themselves, or do they leave the country and maybe go try to apply their trade somewhere else in the world. But it's just a different, like the boys that come out of Weinberg boys and the players that come out of there are on another level, man. That Western Province side never has anything less than like 2 or 3 Weinberg boys players, and those are usually
Yeah.
X factor players.
And that's in every, like, from under 13, you check under 13, under 15, under 17, under 18. All those tournaments, there's always Weinberg boys in there.
Yeah,
I think I'd love to chat to the guys at Weinberg and find out what is their because there's no ways you're churning out those types of players at tournament consistently, and you're ranked number 9, and you've got your own talent pool that you're churning out every year. I think they've
Yeah.
got somebody at Weinberg knows how to find talent.
Mm. Scouts,
I think
huh?
they know how to
Proper
find
scouts out
talent
there.
and they know how to cultivate it, and they know how to get these boys to provincial level.
Yeah. 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 Mr. Andrew Wiley, let us know. That's the director of cricket out in Weinberg, boys.
Okay,
Um,
it's here for me.
yeah, definitely, man. Okay, then moving on from there, we move on to the number 8th position, and we are back in Pretoria. The massive rivalry out in Pretoria produces a top 8 finish for Affies.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, listen,
okay.
I think there are a few Waterkloof and Pretoria boys, uh, old boys that are gonna have an issue with this. Affy's at number 8 in the top 10. That is
Afis.
proper. Yeah,
Okay. Well, here now begs the question. Right? We were banging on about Waterkloof and how good they are and how they're doing so well. Afis Afis is a different type of animal.
yeah.
Afis is a different type of animal. I know their neighbors right now are hating. I know their neighbors I'm not gonna mention. For those of you who don't know who Afis's neighbors are, it's our boys at number 20, the
Yeah,
people's
yeah,
team.
yeah. The
The
people's
people's
team.
team. I don't think that the people's team are going to be happy about this. But Afis has, we all know Afis has a good legacy, man. We all know AV comes from there.
Yeah,
So that's always AV Morne. That's, that's
yeah,
those guys, I think, solidified Afis's um, role as a cricketing school.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that stuff goes a long way in attracting other really good cricket players.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
kids will look around and go, "Yo, man." I mean, you look at guys like Boys High, right? Boys High in their rugby side, they get a lot of kids that want to go play for Boys High because John Smith played for Boys High.
yeah,
So that stuff goes a long way when you produce international players that really go on to become the best in the world. You get a lot of youngsters that come up and go, "I want to go to that school." That's where AB came from. So
yeah.
yeah, man, let's hear more about Affis.
Yeah, no, man.
Man,
Affy's fantastic. Eh? They play about 350 games a year. Okay. And obviously
what?
that's
Whoa.
across. Yeah, no. Let me explain. Let me explain. So that's across the age groups. Right. So it's not just their
Okay.
first team, it's across the age groups. They play about 350
Uh,
games. So they really make sure that their kids get a lot of playing time. Time in the middle is crucial. And at Affy's, clearly they make sure that the guys get that. They're obviously at the Michaelmas Festival in Pietermaritzburg, the Maritzburg College. They make sure they're out there. They play all the guys, Grey High, Rondebosch, Durban High, Cares. So they make sure that they play against the top top teams in the country. So I have no doubt. I mean, over the last 15 years, they've produced 10 players for SA schools and SA under 19. That's proper, dude.
nah, that's consistency.
Yeah,
Somebody at Affis has a program. I don't, and I guess it also comes down to a lot of these Afrikaans schools, man. The one thing I give them props for is that they're very good at building a culture around a sport. That
yeah,
it's not just you're not just playing the sport just to play the sport. That there's traditions and there's rituals and there's culture behind it, and that's the stuff that wins you games, man. I don't care how good your team is, and I'm pretty sure I don't know who else is in the top 10. I'm learning this as everybody else, but I'm pretty confident that the guys that are in the top 10 create a culture around sport that makes it bigger than just you playing. Like, and that's the stuff you see on game day. When it's crunch time, it's the schools that know that this is bigger than just a game. We are this, like, this is what we do.
Yeah,
If we go back, there are not necessarily consequences, but there is a serious, it's a letdown.
yeah,
There is an expectation to win because that's what we do, and I think that that's what guys like Affis do well, man. They build that culture. When you come in, you're still finding that culture that AB probably left behind and AB found when you got there.
yeah,
So
yeah. No,
yeah, it's interesting.
absolutely. Absolutely, dude. I mean, you get there and there's like it's palpable, like the not the tension, like yeah, but the tension at a game is palpable. It's
Yeah,
as if the entire school is there, right? So from the supporters, the old boys that come through and watch the games,
yeah,
you go to anUffies game, you go to a boys high game, you go to a Rondebosch game, you go to any of these schools, the St. John's game, you can feel the the legacy that comes with having to sort of put on that baggy green. So it really is not pressure, but it really is a massive thing to go out and play for an Affis. Let's do the countdown quickly, right? We had St. Andrew's School from Bloemfontein at number 10. We had Wynberg Boys in the Western Cape at number 9. We had Affis at number 8 from Pretoria. A lot of heat there. And at number 7, quietly coming in from KZN, we've got Glenwood High School, mate. I don't know if you've ever heard of Glenwood High School. And be
no,
honest
sir.
here. uh, yeah, listen,
Isn't
man.
Glenwood in Pretoria?
There is a Glenwood in Pretoria. There is also a Willow Glen out there as well. But this Glenwood High School is in KZN. They've got about 30 teams out there. Yeah, and man, they seem to be doing well. In at number 7, they've predominantly in the top 20 to get this record, right? From 2012 to 2020. They've been 12th, 15th, 13th, 7th, 3rd, 30th, then 20th, 28th, and then 5th, right? So they've only spent they spent 2 years out of the top 20 in the country. Glenwood High School in KZN.
Yeah, nah, they sound like real players.
Yeah,
I've seen the name Glenwood. You always pops up when you're looking at that KZN team.
yeah,
You're like, Glenwood.
yeah, yeah. They
Okay.
produce quite a few of that KZN provincial side as well. So as well as
Yeah.
Durban, I think Durban High School produces a few players as well, but they're not. I don't think they're in the top 20 schools. So listen, it would be great to hear from the coaches out there. There's not much on their website that talks to sort of their program, what it is they do, how they get it done.
Yeah.
But all we know is that they seem to be doing well on the overall school rankings.
Seventh is proper.
It's
Seventh is
decent,
proper.
it's decent. And then moving from 7 to 6, we've got from KZN again, Hilton College. Hilton College. Hilton College
That's a
is always like a little
familiar name.
oasis. Huh?
So it's a familiar name.
Yeah. Hilton College is always like a little oasis. I know they usually have a tournament out there as well for I think under 14s or something where they go out there and they play. And they then also invite schools outside of the independent schools to join them, one or two schools as well. So they do really good work out in KZN. Um, Yeah, I mean they've done well. Hey, if you look at outside of the top 20, they've only been outside of the top 23 times. They've been fifth, 16th, second, first, second, fourth.
Okay, so they proper contended.
Yeah.
They've tasted that number one spot.
Yep. And they've produced about 18 SA schools representatives.
Okay, okay. So it seems like the bulk of a crop of KZN talent is coming out of Hilton.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like it's coming out of Hinton, it's coming out of Hilton, it's coming out of Glenwood, and I think also Durban High. That's predominantly where KZN's crop comes out of.
Okay, we'll have to
Yeah.
keep an eye on the KZN scene down
Yeah, man.
there. It
Ngiri's
seems
from
like
there.
they
Ngiri Kemza comes out of there.
now question, right? How some may argue, right? How competitive is that KZN league as compared to the Gauteng league? Or does that have any weighing on them being high up in the rankings? Or is it just that they dominate?
Well, that's a good question. I think, and that's what we're gonna see in this sort of first season of the Groundsmen, right? Because we're gonna
Yeah.
try and even out the playing fields here. From what I understand, though, Hilton does go to all the major independent schools tournaments out there. So they do play the Afis of this world. They do play Ronda Bosch, all those guys. So they do play against them. But I also think they participate in against the local schools around as well. So I don't think there's a skewing here in terms of the strength of opposition. But
Yeah.
again, as we go, as the season goes by, as we review the weekend games, we'll definitely find that out.
All right.
All right, done with Hilton College. Now we move into the top five. And at number
Get it.
five, this you will know fairly well. Grey College in Bloemfontein.
Ah, you know. you know.
Of course,
You
right?
know. You know. Everybody at one point in time took a punishment. If you were a sports player, if you've ever played sports at a decent level of a decent first team, there was a game where you played against Grey College, and yeah, man,
Yeah,
we all
yeah.
remember that. Everybody's. I don't care if it's cricket, rugby, tennis, hockey. Everybody's got a game against Grey College. That no, they showed us flames. They showed us flames. That game. They leave memories for everybody.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
hear some stuff about Grey College.
Yeah, man. Great college. I mean, since 92, they've produced 9 South African cricketers. Makes a lot of sense. Outside of the top 20, they've only been outside of the top 20 twice. The rest of the time, they've been sixth, fourth, they've been 17th, they've been 15th. I mean, 17th, they've been fifth, they've been sixth, they've been ninth, they've been 13th. So
Oh,
that's
oh,
decent.
they never had that top position though.
They've
It
never been number
sounds to
one.
me.
They've
It
been the
sounds to me like they are the South Africa of the schools league. They have everything to win the cup, but they never seem to get that number one spot.
never claimed the number one spot, man.
Or,
I don't know.
maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe they're killing when it comes to winning cups, and they just not consistent enough to earn that number one spot over a period of time. Because I think they're dominating. Correct me if I'm wrong. They are dominating when it comes to their league.
Yeah, yeah, that they do. that they do consistently. I mean, listen, they're also not struggling, right? So they've got 7 cricket ovals, and they're in the process of developing an 8th field. Okay, so being in
Okay.
the top 5, it translates when you look at sort of the resources they have. And
Yeah.
all age groups then have the opportunity to practice on turf nets. So from a young age, you can see they get the guys, they get the players ready to move into their first team at a certain level. So you
Yeah.
don't just practice in the cement nets until you're like 16, 17, and then you move to turfs kind of thing. So listen, they do putting in work, and they've got Ryan McLaren as employed at Great College. He's a coach there. So
Okay.
so
All I'm saying is, let's hear from him. Let's hear from him, because I want to know. I'm interested in finding out why Great College has never been the number 1 team in the country. Who, like, where's the disconnect?
yeah,
Right? They
yeah,
got the rep. They've got the players. They actively compete with the top teams.
yeah.
Why haven't they ever tasted that number 1 spot?
Well, let's find out. Great College, reach out, man. Our details are at the end. Give us a shout. We'd actually like to hear from you guys. In the top,
Maybe it's this year. Maybe it's this year. We don't know.
maybe it's this year, dude. We're happy to keep an eye on you guys and find out. But as of now, you're 5th, and you
Yep.
guys have 7 cricket ovals. Damn, 7 ovals?
I guess they're still doing better than others. There's other guys out there running around with 10 pitches and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen. I'm pretty sure if we reach out of this top 20, we can find a lot of schools with resources that aren't that are for show.
someone's not doing their job.
Yeah,
Someone's not doing their job. But anyway,
yeah. That's
as that
besides the
number
point.
4 spot,
At
I'm
number,
interested in the top 3. We've been going through this list. I'm a
yeah.
top 3 guy. I'm a high performance guy. I like to know who's killing it right now. But we are number 4. Let's keep going.
Well, you're
I
about to
like
find
hearing
out.
about these aspiring teams. I guess we can hear more. I'm a cynic, man. Don't trust me. Anyway, I don't trust nobody's not at the top. There's a reason why you're not at the top in my head. Like, if you're not number 1, then why aren't you number 1? There's a reason why you're not number 1.
Yeah,
Number 1's number 1 for a reason. But anyway,
yeah. Listen, guys can make their case as we go along, but to get to number 4, we have to travel all the way back to Joburg and talk about kids.
okay. I was
Everybody
wondering.
knows Cares. They've done exceptionally well. They've produced Quinton de Kock, Stephen Cook, Dane Villas, Neil McKenzie, Graham Smith. Listen, man, the guys have produced Protea players. SA under 19 captains. They've produced Tony DeZorzi, Bryce Parsons, Quinton de Kock, Shaylin Pillay, Keaton Jennings, all from Cares, baby. All from Cares. Shout out Joburg.
Those kids, boys. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, listen. You have to take him with a pinch of salt, Dave. But listen, the record speaks for itself. At 4th, they've been 11th, they've been 7th, they've been 10th, they've been 9th, they've been 39th, they've been 3rd, they've been 7th, they've been 10th, and they've been 115th. I don't know what happened that year, né? That 115th. We need to find out what happened that year for Cares to be 115th. But
Oh, do
sometime
you know
between
what year that was?
I don't know. I think it might be 2016, it seems. It might be 2016.
Yes.
Um, we'd
Yes.
have to look at that.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. We need you to come and explain yourself.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if there's a glitch in the system, but I feel like Kez needs to come and explain what happened that year. And we love to know how they got back up to three again.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's the
definitely.
story. We want to know how do you go from 100 and what was that? 100 and
115.
150. How many schools are even playing, bro? I feel like at this point you're competing with like your local like teams up in Derby and are like around like what happened? Did you guys
That are
not
putting a
play
couple
that
of
year?
guys together that have a passion for the game.
Did they not play that year? Like what happened?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Listen, kids, if you guys can explain the anomaly, we'd love to do it. Also reached out to the SA Schools magazine to let us know what's going on here. We're waiting for them to come back to us. So we'll find that out. We'll find that out. And then we move into the top three. Your favorite category. Top
Let's
three.
go, man. Let's go. Let's
Um,
see who's the top guys. Who's slanging? Who's slanging around here? Who's weighing heavy around here? Let's go.
For the third position, we have to go all the way out to PE to Gray High School. Gray
Great.
High School. They
I think there's
are
another.
proper.
What makes Gray High third? Like, are they a fluke? Is it earned? Is it expected?
Listen, man, these guys are the real deal. These guys are the real deal. So they've produced Wayne Parnell and Johan Buerta. Fair enough. Not necessarily. Johan Buerta, I rate him. He's fantastic. Wayne, I don't know. And obviously the Pollock brothers.
Yeah.
And then they've got 16 teams participating in the EP Schools League, which is okay, which means they're saying they participate locally. So there are a lot of local games in there. But they do also participate in the independent schools leagues around the country. So it's not like they don't go out and play guys in their weight grade. They've produced Wayne Parnell, like we said, Rusty Turan, Colin Ackerman, and David White. So listen, they've produced some decent players, but this is what is freaky, right? Why it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
In the rankings, they've been 10th, 5th, 2nd, 2nd, 1st, 1st, 15th, 5th, 16th. Never been out of the top 20.
Okay.
Never been out of the top 20. That
They've
is
been first
why
twice.
they're third.
First twice, second twice. Sounds like are they third? Okay. Okay. So if this was the Premier League, they are usually they usually always in the Champions League. They're usually always going through to the Champions League.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's decent, man. I mean, Grey High, shout out to you. Great college. I'm pretty sure you'd like to be third.
Where's Great College again?
Great College is fifth. Out in
I
Bloemfontein.
feel like we've got another Man City, Man United situation going on here. We have to sort these guys out. Great College, and it's a bit less disputed. But I feel like Great College and Grey High should play. Let's find out. One will be known as Grey College, and the other one will be known for Grey College or Grey High. The loser is formerly known as Grey College, Grey High.
Shout out to that. I agree. They should play. Let's sort out this dispute. One is in PE, one is in Bloemfontein though. So
we'll make it happen.
I
End of the year.
I also think one is an English school and the other is an Afrikaans school as well. So there's beef there. There's beef there.
Us-
You know how that goes.
We've got the
Um,
St. Andrews beef. We've
yeah.
got the Great College beef. We need to sort those two names out in the top 20. And it's interesting how they're very close to proximity. Great College and Grey High
Yeah.
are one guy apart.
Yes. Third and fifth.
Andrews are 11
10th
and
and
10.
11. Yeah.
So there is something to be said there where we have to by the end of the year we'll have to have them play. We're gonna make you guys play. We are going to make you guys sort it out. And next year, the loser will be called formerly known as. that is the prefix to every name. Whenever we say your name, we start it with formerly known as. And then next year you can compete. You can compete to earn your name back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every year we'll compete. We'll have the Andrews competition. We'll have the
Great competition.
great competition.
Yeah.
Let's
I agree.
go.
I agree. Now moving into second spot, we have to come back all the way to Johannesburg, representing Saint Stithians, my friend. Saint Stithians. Beasts. Beasts.
I got no beef with Saint Stithians. Those boys play. I got no beef with Saint Stithians. I don't want that smoke.
Yeah, no, you don't want the smoke, man. And have you seen the grounds, dude? Yeah.
Dude, they got some. I think Saint
facilities.
Stithians has some of the best school grounds in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And they've managed to build it in the middle of a suburb, man. It's like
Dude,
it's like if
how
you
many
drive
grounds do
through
they
it,
have?
how many?
How many grounds do they have?
I don't know. They don't mention. They didn't. Wait. I'll tell you. They've got 7 turf pitches. They've got 17 astro nets. They've got 12 turf nets and 5 bowling machines.
That's that championship stock.
That's that championship stock. That's that stock that keeps you in the top 10, top 5, mate. If you look at their record, they've been 10th, 5th, 2nd, 1st, 15th, 5th, 16th. No, wait. I'll tell you now. I think there's something off there. Just give me 1 second.
Because it sounds like they were struggling for a bit.
Yeah, no, for me it sounded too close to Grey High. I'll tell you now. Saint Stithians. Incredible. Okay, so
those boys can play.
Yeah, no. So Grey High, get this. So Grey High, let me give you the right stats. I mixed those up a little bit. My bad. So Grey High, they've been 24th, 30th, right? When they started. And then that was 2012, 2013. Then from 2014, they've been 7, 19, 6th, 4th, 4th, 3rd, and now 3rd again.
Okay. So just to recap, Grey High has not gotten that number 1 position. They've been playing around that number 1 spot, playing a 3-4. They're the Tottenham of this league.
Yeah. And the numbers then that I gave you before, that was Saint Stithians, where they're 10th, 5th,
that's
2nd,
championship,
2nd,
not
1,
that
1,
makes
15th, 5th, and 16th. That's championship level, man. That gives you that number 2 spot.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That gives you that number.
That's why they're still number 2. So they've been number 1, number 2 the whole time. Now it's just to find out whoever's number 1 is obviously the guy that's been bumping them off number 1.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to figure out. But before we do, I just want to say about the St. Stithians program, man. Those guys have a proper program.
Yeah.
I've been around their cricketing program. Those guys know what they're doing down there. So we'd love to hear a bit more from them. It's always good to, and I think just for other teams as well, man, it's always good to hear what does it take to actually be at the top like that? What does it take to go from the number one team to number two team, number one team, number two team, to battle at that top? I mean, it's like basically trying to figure out, what is the difference between I don't know, what's Australia doing that a not even a Sri Lanka, 'cause Sri Lanka do pretty well. What does an Australia do that a South Africa is not doing, for instance?
Yeah.
Where's that difference? Because the Australia guys, teams like Australia that have won World Cups before, they seem like there's something that they can tap into that the teams that have never actually been at that level or in an international stage, the teams that never won a World Cup,
Yeah.
there's something that the winning teams cultivate, and that doesn't quite happen for the guys that have never won it. Once you've won it, it's almost like you figure it out. Like
Yeah.
you look at the West Indies team, for instance. Even when they are in shambles, even when they're in shambles, because they know how to do it as a team, as a unit, as a culture, as a country. They know how to win a World Cup, and so it doesn't. There's something that winners know, and I think it'll be great to speak to coaches from St. Stithians to say, what are you guys like? What is that thing that makes you guys win?
Yeah.
He's team
Yeah.
number one, number two, number one, number two, consistent.
Yeah. No, it's real. It's real, man. I think there's something heavy about that cricketing program that they're doing out there.
Yeah.
And then we move over to number one, which I don't know if a lot of guys would have guessed it, but I had them somewhere in the top of my head that they would be number one. And if we give a drum roll,
Here we go, college. Here we go, Fields. Here we go, Fields. Here we go, Fields. Here we go, college.
Big dreams, mate. Big dreams. We've got Rondebosch in Cape Town, number one spot. These guys have never been out of the top 10 since 2012, mate. I didn't say top 20. I said top 10 since 2012. Okay? They've produced I think part of what helps is that they partnered up with the Gary Kirsten Academy. So they've got a partnership out there. They've been fourth, first, sixth, first, fourth, third, second, third, ninth, and now they are first again. So,
can you read that again?
They've been fourth, first, sixth, first, fourth, third, second, third, and ninth.
Can you read the St. Stithians bio again? Because I feel like St. Stithians may just have a better record than Rondebosch.
No, not really, because St. Stithians were outside of the top 10 twice. That's what kicks them out. So they were 15th and 16th at some point.
And what was the rest of their record, though? Because I feel like they've got more number one and number two spots than Rondebosch does.
So they've got 2 number 2s and 2 number 1s. And then Rondebosch has 2 number 1s, well, 3 number 1s with this one, and 2 number 3s and 1 number 2, and then a 4th, a 6th, and a 9th. So all in all, Rondebosch does have a better record than St. Stithians. But honestly, it's fingernail, man. Like it's really not
it's touch and go.
Yeah.
Touch and go. I feel like that those are the two teams this year. Personally, I'm watching the top 3 guys, right? Which is Rondebosch, um, Saint Stithians, and who's number 3? Right? No,
Rondebosch,
yes,
St.
Grey
Stithians, and Grey High.
in Grey High,
Yeah,
right? I mean, those are the top guys we'll probably watch. I mean, we're watching the top 20. I'm talking about me, right?
yeah.
This is who I like winners. I like their record, and then of course I'm rooting for the people's team. Let me hear one time.
One time for the people's team. We'll see. We'll
those,
see. We'll
those are
see.
my top 4 picks. Those are my top 4. These 4 teams, these are the team. Actually, you know what? I'm leaving the 3 teams out. I'm running with the people's team. I think the people's team is not only going to retain its number 20 spot, I think they're going to move up the ladder. That's my team. That's my underdog team. And then my pick to win the league. Wait, are we doing picks now? I'm going to do picks.
You can do picks.
My pick to win the league, the number 1 team this year, I'm going with Saint Stithians. I'm going to
You're
go
going
with
with
Saint
Saints.
Stithians. I'm going with Saints. I don't think Rondebosch has the consistency. I think that Saints is a better school when it comes to playing cricket. I think that I think that their record may be even slightly better, considering the fact that they don't have the Gary Kirsten Academy. I'm just saying, I'm just saying we have to acknowledge all the factors, right? So I think that Saints has also produced how many international players has Ronda Bosch produced?
Rhonda Bosch. Let me see. Um, well, they didn't say anything on their website, but they've produced SA Schools captain Matthew Christians in 2014. So, listen, it's possible, fair enough. St. Stithians probably has produced more international cricketers than Rhonda Bosch. But
Saint
again, there's
Stithians are winners, man. Saint Stithians are the modern day Bulls. So you know how the Chicago Bulls are gonna run. I'm telling you, during our time as the groundsman here, watch Saint Stithians dominate because they that team. They are that team, the team that steps up when everybody's looking. That's how you become number 1 for so long. I mean, Ronda Bush, great competitors. I think that there's some top 5, top 4 guys plus the people's team. I think the people's team is going to be cause some upsets. I think that we're gonna rally. I'm rallying around the people. I'm choosing Boys High. I think Boys High is my underdog team, and Saint Stithians is my pick for the number 1 team. I think Boys High is gonna disappoint a lot of guys. I think every weekend we're going to get Boys High disappointments because they just that kind of school, man.
yeah,
They just that
yeah.
kind of school. I'm rooting. I'm rooting for them now. I started as a Boys High skeptic at the beginning of this, but the more I look into it, I'm like, you know what? If ever there's an underdog in this league, right? There's a lot of guys. There's the Hiltons. I see they've got, but Boys High is the underdog. They
With
the
the
underdog, yeah.
with their 2 turf nets.
They the underdog. They got the least facilities out of everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
They got the least facility. They might have the most people, though. They might have the most out of everybody.
Listen, I
So,
think
but
we're gonna have to
that's the
see.
people's team, right? The people's team is always filled with people. That's why it's the people's team. They got a
Yeah,
lot of people. They get people from everywhere. There's a whole bunch of them. But to sift through all of that and find the gold, that's really what Boys Eye is all about. The diamonds in the rough. It's a rough place, but some good
listen, I think there's plenty to look forward to. We're definitely gonna have a look and see what your boys' highs do. I personally have got Cares coming through and pegging number 1 this year. They haven't had it. I think they have a
Oh,
great opportunity to do that this year.
nah,
Um,
nah.
I think they're gonna do it.
Guys like kids are slippers, man. They're slippers. Every time you try to run with them, they come off.
We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to close the we're gonna have to close out the show. We got a few things to look forward to, man. We got the schools leagues coming up. We got a couple of the schools coming and playing their opening warm up games coming up this weekend that we'll be covering next week. We've got the Makumas Festival coming up um, in in Pietermaritzburg. We got the Cape Schools Week. We got Peninsula Cricket Festival in Jan. That's still some time away, but that's also coming. We've got the Grey High Under 15 Cricket Festival coming up in PA. We've got Alton College Cricket Festival for under 14s in September, and we've got Grey Festival in Bloemfontein. And not to forget, Coke Week. Here we come. Any last words? Any last words, mate?
Ah, man, I think this was our first episode. Again, like we've always said, I just want to make it clear, man. We like talking cricket. We like the game. We're just two guys that do what they do for a living. We've all got jobs and stuff like that. But, this is where we come in and we just like to talk sports, man. So this is really just a platform for guys. If you want to know what's happening with school cricket, we all played and we all know what it was like, and it was competitive, and we want to stay. I mean, we look at and if I'm being honest, you look at the rugby guys, and there's a lot of stuff for them in terms of following your old school, following what your old school is doing. And I think that cricket has grown over the last 20 years, where we have an alumni in the country of just generations now of guys that played the game, and we're still interested. And we got kids now that are playing the game as well. So yeah, man, I'm excited about next week's show. Games, I don't know. I'm pretty sure games are starting this coming weekend. The first round of the game, some guys are playing games. So yeah, man, next week we'll be back. We'll be talking sports. We'll be talking cricket. We'll be talking about who got the handed to them that in the past weekend. And yeah, man, we'll start to find out who are the real teams. Right now, I think what we did in this first episode is we're just letting you guys know who is the current top 20 teams, and moving forward we're going to start releasing out the team lists, so you guys can know who's playing for who. We're going to start releasing tape from the games. You're going to start being able to watch footage and highlights from the different high school games, see how the guys did. Yeah, man, we've got quite a few stuff. I mean, we've got the series coming up. We've got Coach's Corner coming up, which is essentially just a series where we chat to all the coaches across the country of the top teams. We're also going to chat to the provincial coaches as well, as we lead up to Coke Week, and some of the younger guys as well. And we're also going to be chatting to the players. We're going to be chatting to some of the players as well. It's going to be a great series. And yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I think that where we are now, this is just the beginning, guys. We'll be here literally every single week, man. We don't miss any days. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we like to do. Coaches, players, parents, reach out to us. Let's chat. Let's engage. Let's start really getting behind these kids, man. They spend so much time out in the sun, Saturdays, Sundays, weekdays, and practice. We know what that's all about, man. If you've ever played cricket, you know what that's about. And let's support these guys, man. Let's start having a say in who's going to play for the country next. Instead of watching guys pop up out of nowhere, I think it's time for us now to start having a say. And for us to have a say, we have to start paying attention. So yeah, man, that's what this podcast is all about. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming through and enjoying your time with us. We'll see you next week from the Groundsmen. Goodbye.